So this is my theory of what might have happened to Sokka. So we know that by the time of the legend of Korra, Sokka has passed away because Katara says that that my brother and many of my friends are gone. Now keep in mind she said many of my friends, so obviously she meant that a few of her friends were alive, like Toph and Zuko. But the point is, Sokka is no longer around by that time. However, we do know that Sokka was still alive at the time when Korra was young, because Sokka, Zuko, Tenzin, and Tonraq were there when the Red Lotus, Sahir, Ghazan, Mingwa, and Pali tried to kidnap Korra. So my assumption is that Sokka probably lived maybe a few more years after that. And no, I don't really buy into the theory that Sokka died that night because I think they would have mentioned it because it's a pretty important, that would be pretty important if it were true. So I don't think Sokka died that night, and I think he lived for a few more years. Now, my theory that I'm about to reveal has not really much of a basis, but I will say it could be likely. So let's look at the example of Iroh. So Iroh passed into the spirit world after he felt like he was pretty much done in the physical world. So what he did was he meditated into the spirit world and did not return to his body at the end. And so my theory about Sokka is that maybe he did something similar to what Iroh did. And the reason I think so is because remember, Sokka was in love with Princess Yue of the Northern Water Tribe, and Princess Yue sacrificed herself to become the Moon Spirit. So perhaps Sokka, in his old age, decided to decided that he was done in the physical world, and maybe somewhere throughout his life he learned how to meditate into the spirit world, and so maybe at the end he meditated into the spirit world to be with Yue for all eternity. So that's my theory. No basis, and it's never been brought up. I just came up with it. But using what we know about Sokka, I think it's certainly a possibility that it happened. And my second theory about Sokka, so if we look at the family tree provided, we don't really see that Sokka had any children, and as far as we know, he didn't. But I think it's possible that maybe he did, and they're just not telling us, or maybe they haven't written the story out yet. But I think it's possible that Sokka did have children. They're out there somewhere. And I think the second possibility is that maybe Sokka or whoever he ended up with, whether it was Suki or someone else, maybe they couldn't have children physically. Or the other possibility is that maybe they didn't want children. Maybe Sokka or the woman he ended up with, whether it was Suki or someone else, maybe they just didn't want children. So maybe that's why the children aren't there. So we don't know exactly for sure, but those are my possible guesses on what happened regarding Sokka. So, as I said, I have no evidence for this, and these theories are just coming from my head, but that's what I believe, let's say. So, there we have it.